My name is Nick, and welcome to my channel where I like to talk about scary stuff. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It follows paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren as they help a family dealing with a demonic force that leads to the first case in US history where someone pleaded not guilty by reason of demonic possession. We've all been waiting for over a year to see this movie, and I know a lot of people are loving it right now, so I just have to say right off the bat, honestly, I really didn't care for it. And if you did like this movie, I would love to hear your thoughts, but I have to air my grievances in this video, so this will be a spoiler review. If you haven't already seen The Conjuring 3, even if you aren't ready to go back to a theater, it is streaming right now on HBO Max. Let me start out by saying that as a true crime fan, The Devil Made Me Do It case is one that I've never cared about. I mean, there are few cases that I don't find fascinating, and this is one of them. And I think mostly because at the center of this story is the question of whether or not you believe in demonic entities in the traditional Catholic Church sense. And call me crazy, but I believe that we can hold two beliefs at the same time, and I believe in demons while not believing in God. I may be the only one separating the two, but I just feel like the horror elements in these movies are so tied to religion that I've never been able to connect with them personally. When they first announced that this movie would be following this case, I was immediately disappointed, and I expected them to follow something closer to the structure of The Exorcism of Emily Rose, jumping between like a supernatural thriller and a courtroom drama. What's baffling to me is that they chose this case when the script seems to have zero interest in exploring the complexities of it. Instead, it's just another typical big summer fun horror movie jump scare fest. But there are some things that worked for me. Let's start with the good, because I wouldn't say this movie is bad. It just didn't work for me. What I really enjoyed was the opening of this movie, because we start out with an exorcism, which is typically how we end these movies, and I immediately believed that Ed and Lorraine had been there working with this family. I was like, let's do this. I'm in it. Let's go. And they were not messing around, okay? That little kid gets fucked up. But as soon as the demon jumps from him to Arnie, it felt like it went back to typical Conjuring business as usual. Ed and Lorraine end up on this adventure quest where they're trying to find the origins of this witch's totem in order to prove that Arnie is innocent, and it just felt like we were jumping from one point to the next without really developing a story. I give it credit for trying to do something different, because this is the first Conjuring movie that isn't simply a haunted house film. But oddly enough, I think I would have preferred a haunted house movie, because it's what the Warrens do. It's what we're here for. It's so baffling to me, because I feel like there was a creative team that was like, yeah, The Devil Made Me Do It case. That's like true crimey. It's a big deal. That'll be perfect for our next Conjuring movie. But let's not get into the courtroom drama bullshit, and let's not get too deep into the religious ideology of it all. I can't help but find it funny, because I feel like they tried to make a movie to appeal to a viewer like me, who isn't so much interested in this case as I am in seeing the Warrens doing spooky things. And I feel like they should have taken the stuff they created for this movie and just put it into a different case, or a fictional case, and just left the whole Devil Made Me Do It stuff out of it. There's a really interesting concept at the center of this screenplay with this demonic entity that is playing by this rule of threes. In order to complete this ritual, the soul of a child, the soul of a lover, and the soul of a man of God must be sacrificed. As Ed and Lorraine get to digging, we head into some true crime territory as they're looking into these cases and piecing everything together, and I was just like, this should be the entire movie. Like, why is this not the movie? And I'm sorry, but I have to make this complaint real quick, because as Lorraine is like uncovering what happened with these missing girls and stuff, we see her like psychic vision of what happened to them, and we see these two young women head into the woods. They're totally lesbians. They're having a very brief but cute moment until one of them is revealed to be possessed, and she stabs the other one before jumping off of a cliff. And this is supposed to be the lover portion of the ritual. I'm not saying this is the worst thing ever. I'm not saying cancel The Conjuring. I'm just saying I found it to be an odd choice to make this specific couple gay when their only role to play was to be part of a murder-suicide. And if anyone thought that moment in the woods was cute, I don't mean to take away anyone's enjoyment. We all interpret things differently, of course. To me, it seemed like someone thought that they were adding representation to their work, when in actuality it felt a lot more like gay punishment. Sitting here in June 2021, in the middle of Pride Month, I just feel like we deserve better representation than like 1 minute of screen time for characters who die simply for loving each other. Another issue I had was that I simply did not care for what they did with Arnie as a character. After he commits the murder towards the beginning of the film, it's like, why is he even in the movie? Why are we even doing this case? Because we don't at all focus on the trial that's supposed to be happening. The scenes that we get with Arnie are in some hospital where, like, sometimes he's possessed, sometimes he's about to be possessed, he's always thinking about being possessed. It just felt like, what are we even doing here? Like, what is the point? And it's such a bummer because I thought Rory O'Connor and Sarah Catherine Hook did a really good job with what limited material they had to work with, and I thought that there was an interesting juxtaposition between the couple that they played and the Warrens, and I wish that was explored more. What it comes down to, guys, is the fact that I didn't find this movie to be scary at all. And I know I'm not the biggest fan of supernatural horror. I don't find ghosts and demons scary, but still, I can have fun with these movies. I grew up on the PG-13 supernatural thrillers of the 2000s. I can get into these. I don't enjoy most of the Conjuring universe, but like, they're fun at least. This movie was just plain boring. So I listened to the most recent episode of the Witching Hour podcast with Perry Nemiroff and Haley Fouch. Love those ladies. And they interviewed director Michael Chaves about this movie, and I may be misremembering some or misheard, so let's just say it's all conjecture. You can listen to the episode yourself, of course. But what he was talking about was that the movie was initially supposed to be focused on this one demonic entity, the guy that we see in the waterbed. Apparently it just wasn't working and the design wasn't scary enough or something, and I think they made this change during production. Maybe they did during post, but I think it was during production. But this is when they shifted the focus onto some, witch lady fucking with everyone through this demon. Why are we dealing with the middleman when we could be going straight to the source? And as I learned this information, it honestly kind of took away from the movie for me, and I can appreciate filmmakers who are working on the fly and being flexible and trying to do what's best for the movie. But sometimes, also I would say, I think that filmmakers can focus on one issue, and while trying to fix that, they're not really looking at the big picture, because I think the movie as a whole doesn't really work. I thought this movie had some interesting pieces that never fully became entertaining to me personally. But if you just want to see Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson be their wonderful, adorable, amazing selves, yes, you will have a good time. As for the concept, I'm sorry, but I can't help but give it a 1 out of 5. I had zero interest in what I thought this movie was going to be, and then when I saw what they were actually doing, I'm still baffled. I'm like, why? What was the point? It was any supernatural thriller that you've seen before, but without any of the fun. For execution, I will give it a 3 out of 5 because I think Chaves did a good job with this pretty poor screenplay, but I can only give him so much credit because, again, I didn't think it was scary at all. For entertainment value, I'm sorry, but I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 because I was mostly bored to tears watching this movie. And I got close to the end when Lorraine is about to head into those tunnels, and I went right to the bathroom. I didn't even care. I was like, I'm not waiting 20 minutes. I'm going now. And by the time I got back into the theater, I feel like I didn't miss a thing. I didn't miss a damn thing. As for my personal grade, I'm gonna give The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It a 2 out of 5. Honestly, I feel like that's low. Like, if I were to technically grade this, I would give it a 3 out of 5 because it's fine. It's a fine movie, but it just left me feeling nothing. Like, nothing about it made me feel excited, and nothing bad about it made me feel, like, passionate. Like, it just made me feel nothing, which sometimes is honestly worse than pissing me off. And let me make one more technical complaint before I get out of here, because this movie is so fucking dark, and I don't understand why. If there's one reason I would tell you to see this movie in a theater as opposed to watching it on HBO Max, it's because you're gonna have a better chance of actually watching the movie in a dark room than at home. And I will say, I've had plenty of issues with other movie theaters, especially AMC theaters. They do not know how to light their theaters properly, and it's clearly the fault of the theater. But the theater I saw The Conjuring 3 in was pitch black. I almost fell over trying to find a seat. I saw some other guy using the flashlight on his phone to find a seat, and I didn't even blame him, because I was like, you could get injured if you didn't in here. It's dangerous. But it was clearly a choice to have the movie be so dark. And I've seen plenty of horror films recently just being so dark because obviously things are scarier in the dark, but when you can't even see what's happening, nothing is scary. Okay, I'm done ranting. Rant over. The end of the video. If you made it to this part, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know how you made it through that. Let me know what you thought of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I never want to say that title ever again in my entire fucking life. If you are interested, you can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd for more movie recommendations. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.